Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome to each and every one of you on what is turning out to be a really big day for us here at LWKS. Not just because it's semi-final day and it's coming home. Sorry, you may need to be European for that reference. And ideally, probably not Danish. Yes, good day, Denmark. But first off, definitely, most importantly, I want to sincerely thank you for your time today. It's really appreciated. I know you've all got thousands of things to do. I know you've all got videos and films to make. And I know that there are hundreds of other marketers just like me, trying to get you to sign up for hundreds of other webinars. So when thousands of you take the time to sign up for mine, well, it really validates what we're trying to achieve here and makes us all very happy. And hopefully you're going to be very happy to hear that I'm not going to bore you to death with PowerPoints. We're going to get straight to the demo and Q&A, and that's what you're all here for, right? But I do want to introduce you to my esteemed colleagues and panelists, and really read out those 4 bullet points on the right there. So if you've ever been to the Lightworks forum, if you've ever raised a ticket, if you've ever watched a tutorial video or seen Lightworks at NAB or IBC, you'll already be BFFs with our product manager, Matt Sanford. Mr. Lightworks himself. Matt has been working on Lightworks for as long as anyone can remember. Literally, he knows every single thing about it. I can't stress that enough. Every single thing. It's not an exaggeration. He is Mr. Lightworks. He is the man with the answers for every single question that you may have. We also have a very special and previously unannounced guest here with us today, our CEO, Peter Lambert. Peter is a true pioneer in the world of video editing software. He was there right at the very beginning. He was there at the big bang of editing software, and he's here now. And he's been there at every point in between. There is not a media workflow in this world that Peter doesn't know inside out and backwards. And I'm not just saying that because he's my boss. So that's mostly who we are. I should probably introduce myself as well. I'm Martin Coles. I'm the CMO here at LWKS. I'm the chap that essentially makes these PowerPoints and cajoles everyone into doing these webinars. But you're probably quite interested in what it is that we're actually doing. So, number 1, 9 months ago, LWKS was launched, and we've been pretty quiet ever since. So it's about time for us to deliver the state of LWKS and let you know a little bit about what's been going on over the last 9 months. And I can see the names of all of you guys here, and believe me, there are a lot that I recognize from credits of watching millions and millions of films over the last 37 years or so. And we really need to talk about what we're doing for you Hollywood A-listers and how that stuff benefits everybody else. So we're going to be talking about what Lightworks Pros has to offer. Number 3, the big one, is over to Matt for a 100% completely live, no safety net demo of all the cool new stuff that he's invented recently. I'm going to say that again, no safety net, completely live, no pressure, Matt, fingers crossed. Then finally, really, it's over to you guys for questions, and we'll try and get through as many as we can. There are thousands of you here, so I'm pretty sure there'll be quite a lot of questions. Please, can you use the Q&A widget at the bottom of your Zoom, so our backstage elves can sort them behind the scenes. And please, just for this session, if we could keep them broadly to the stuff that we're talking about, that would be great. But as I said, Matt knows everything about Lightworks, so feel free. Right, let's keep moving. That's us, that's what we're doing. Now it's over to Peter for the state of Lightworks.
Well, without a doubt, it's Lightworks that is the celebrity here, but it's important to say a few words to express how Lightworks is a house with a solid foundation. We are LWKS Software Limited, where LWKS has always been the short form for Lightworks. We're a new company dedicated to the success of Lightworks nonlinear editor and QScan automatic quality checking software. The AQC software that's being used by UEFA for the Euro finals, by the way. So we're accountable to our community, not shareholders, and we don't regard ourselves as some tech company playing in the M&E space. So we recognize we're in the same boat as our customers. Don't get us wrong. To make successful products that creators want to use, we need to be run as a professional organization. But if there's one thing we must learn from, it's that without having this long-term support from our customers, we're only chasing the green stuff, and any success is hollow and short-lived. So we know we have our customers have a choice. Thankfully, Lightworks has a tremendous following, and we aim to give Lightworks and Lightworkers the care and attention they deserve. We build on the fact that Lightworks is the best editor, true as it has been since I first met Lightworks in 1992. Now it's time to add to those core capabilities to expand the areas where Lightworks becomes the product and platform you choose for your next major feature, professional video, or YouTube upload to build your brand. So we hand back to Martin to tell you how we're transforming Lightworks into something that's easier for more creatives to love.
Thanks for that, Peter. As I briefly mentioned earlier, for the last 10 years or so, Lightworks has kind of been the Cinderella to Edit Share's storage and MAM, ugly sisters, hidden away quietly in the background, devoid of attention. Very quietly being used by the biggest and best editors in the world to make some of the most awesome films and TV shows in history. And I really love that fact. That's what makes me happier than anything. But you guys know this. You've seen the websites. Many of you use the forum. It's been in a bit of a sad state of affairs for years, and I'm acutely and painfully aware of that. But that was then, and this is now. And over the last 9 months, LWKS has come along like a startup Prince Charming, and Lightworks is going to go to a ball, and that ball is today, and you guys are all invited too, because today, right after this webinar, with a little bit of luck, with a win behind us, and assuming everything else goes right, we're making some big changes. So number one, we have a new website finally that will be live today. We have a new user portal where you guys will be able to manage your accounts and do everything that you need to do in the back end of Lightworks as well. That will be live today. We have a new forum, which, although it won't be live today, it will be live in the next couple of days. The reason for that is the one we have now was built on software which just doesn't even exist anymore, and it takes a little bit of time to get all of that together. We have a new method for buying Lightworks, which is pretty important to us as a company. When I joined 5 or 6 months ago, I tried to buy Lightworks Pro. There were 32 steps in that process, and at step number 26, I had to get Matt to help me. I've never had to have anyone help me buy software ever in my life before. It's crazy the amount of hoops that we make people jump through to buy Lightworks. We have all new subscriptions. Every month we receive hundreds of complaints from people saying, oh, why can't I just pay once? Or why can't you take my money every month? Why can't I set up a direct debit? Every other software company in the world uses subscriptions. We're going to do that too. Although we do know that subscriptions aren't for everyone, and we've never really done that before. So we're going to make them very, very simple to subscribe to, with easy on-off auto renews, simple terms. And if you go for Lightworks monthly and you're used to just buying Lightworks for a month at a time, you just buy it once and then turn off the auto renew. Easy, very easy. And we've also got new pricing. Normally, when company execs announce new pricing, it's generally because it's going up. That's not happening here. Lightworks monthly, it's going down in price. Lightworks outright is going down in price, and we're realigning the monthly to kind of fit in the middle of that somewhere nicely. So you'll all be able to see how all of this works as soon as this webinar ends. Like I said, with fingers crossed, and be able to buy it all new pricing with all new payment methods. And as a video-based company, as an NLE, as video editing software, it's kind of crazy, but for the last 2 or 3 years, there have been absolutely no new videos. That is changing. We now have an in-house editorial team who will be creating new tutorials, new demos, new guides, new how-tos, new videos for social media, new hype videos, all sorts of new videos. And the first one is being launched today as well. That will be on the new website about some of this new stuff, which we are talking about. So lots going on behind the scenes. We're bringing everything up to date. The look and feel of everything outside of the actual application of Lightworks, it's changing for the better, and we want to make everything much easier for you guys to love. So let's talk about Lightworks for Pros for a couple of minutes, because the website, the process, the payments, that's all great, but it's all fairly surface. And does it affect you guys as pro video editors? Well, a bit, but day to day, probably not that much. Our core dev team, who have been working on Lightworks for over 20 years, have been massively busy over the last 9 months, making some really structural changes underneath the hood and some really complex workflows that I am absolutely not qualified to talk about, because there are some 3-letter acronyms in there which I've never even seen before. So I'm going to ask Peter to jump back in. Like I said, he knows every single media workflow inside out and can explain what we've been doing in, well, it much better than what I can. Peter?
Well, it's an interesting concept to say that someone understands every media workflow, because that would be infinity, actually. But a healthy cross.
I believe you can.
Sorry?
I believe you do.
My brain is not the size of a planet. But a healthy cross-section of our customers do use Lightworks for high-end work, such as feature films, single dramas, TV commercials, and music videos. And these workflows can be mind-bendingly complicated to the uninitiated, and they're very specific. So it frequently involves managing, hundreds of hours of rushes, sending rough cuts, premixes, change lists to and from various, departments and interested parties like dubbing mixers, subtitlers, colorists, and the whole gamut of people. And to keep these workflows as smooth as possible, we allocate significant resources to support them. In 2021.3, we've carried out a great deal of work refactoring our interchange code and looking for ways to improve the multi-threading performance and efficiency in handling database files. So it may be a little tedious for the non-technical, but handling large media files is one challenge. And on the opposite side of the spectrum are all those tiny database transactions. And these applications, other applications usually optimize for one, but not both. So you might have one piece of software as a great video player, but has terrible kind of database and interaction code, and another one might have some quite clever stuff that allows you to do interchange and big complex timelines, but it's got a terrible player. Lightworks caters for both, and this requires a great deal of time and resource. So we're continuously enhancing Lightworks for these professional users and have refined Lightworks under the hood to drive efficiency and build for the future. But over 50% of the people who come to Lightworks for the first time are new to editing. So we're also making it easier to access, download, install, and get editing with Lightworks. We've always had a great network-based sharing capability, but now we've made editing anywhere beautifully simple and straightforward. So collaboration is a breeze for all, including those with third-party software, giving users the ability to seamlessly browse cloud media, so you can share, review and approve, backup and restore, and dramatically improve the ease with which your customers can work with Lightworks. And with that, we'll go live to the demo. Hopefully a smooth switch over to Matt.
Hello, everyone.
Everyone at Lightworks
okay?
will be crossing their fingers.
Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew. I'm the product manager for Lightworks. Just looking through the list there, I can see there's a lot of customers that I know, customers that I've demoed to over the years at NAB and IBC. So if you remember those demos, you know what you're in for. It's also nice to see some previous ex-colleagues from EditShare days. Hello to you as well. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. So as Peter and Martin mentioned, there's been a big push with this version 21.3 to try and make it easier to get into the application, make it easier to fall in love with the application, and just try and smooth some of those learning curves. So what you're seeing here is a fresh system. So this is if you've first ever installed Lightworks on your system, you're now presented with this wizard. It would be 6 slides. I've removed the activation side because the site's currently down anyway at the moment. But there is an additional slide in here that would allow you to sign in. So as we move through, you can see the first thing that I can do is I can select the language that I wanted to work in. So you can see as I click on each one here, it's changing the panel as we speak. And as we move through, it'll obviously change everything further into the application. So I'm going to stick with English because I can barely read or write either of those, anything else. And you can see the next thing, we can choose our keyboard preference file. Now, these have always been present with the addition of 2 new ones, Adobe Premiere and Blackmagic Resolve. And alongside them, we've got some additional keyboard functionality. So basically, as we were building the preference file, we've added in a few more keyboard shortcuts that help make those accessible. Again, just helps sort of learning the application if you previously used something else. You can now choose between fixed and flexible layout. I'm going to stick with fixed for this demo. And now we give you a link straight away to the quick start guide video. So if you click that, it'll open in a web browser. You can play the video to your heart's content, and that will be updated very, very shortly. If you need to change any of those settings once the wizard's closed away, you can see system settings here is a little bit more visible in the top right hand corner. So because it's a new system, you can see the hints have popped up here. They're now in a nice eye-catching color, and they're now relevant to the area that I'm actually referring to. So you can see first thing we need to do is create a new project. So I can, for hints, if you don't okay them, they will pop up the next time you come back. If you okay them, then they're gone until you go back into the system settings to re-enable them. So I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to type in webinar. You can see there's an advanced tab here. We've just moved custom metadata there behind advanced. So if you're a new user and you don't care about that, you don't need to worry about it. So as I click on and create the project, you can see there we're now open to the edit tab. And that just makes it easier just for people that are coming to this new, how do you get content, where'd you cut it? This is where you cut it. And you can see now I've got a little hint there that says, do you want to take the tour? Yes, we do. So you can see there's 10 steps or 10 parts to the tour, which basically tell you where everything is. So it's giving you an overview of the layout. And this would be true if we'd selected flexible layout back on the wizard as well. And you can see as we move through, I can add libraries. I'm going to show you that in a second. Here's where all your clips and media end up. And here's how you can organize your media in the project. You can obviously step back through the hints. I'm not going to go through all of those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move to get some footage into the project. So rather than going to local files, what I'm actually going to do is click on the little plus icon there. And you can see it's opened up the cloud services panel here. And we've got 6 cloud providers that are hard-coded into this version of Lightworks. We will, of course, add into those in future versions. But right now you can see if I wanted to add any one of these, I can click sign in. It opens up my web browser and it says, do you want to allow Lightworks to have access to the content? Yes, we do, because we want to see it in Lightworks. And you can see there, as I've signed into Dropbox, the content that I've got in Dropbox has now appeared behind it. And you can see the sign in buttons changed to sign out. Because I've got a Lightworks Pro license on this system, I can sign into more than one at any one time. So I could sign into Google Drive if I wanted to, select my account, and give it permission to have access to. And again, you can see my content there has appeared. If you're running the free version, which is limited to only one sign-in per time, you would need to sign out. Are you sure you want to sign out? Yes, you do. And then you'd be able to sign into another one. So just a limitation there of the free version. One thing I want to sign into here is pCloud, because that's where all my content is. And what I'm going to do, you can see this is the default contents and default folders when you have a pCloud account. And there's an automatic upload. And what's particularly nice is that how do you get content from your device, iPhone? I'm just going to film a quick clip here of my desk, just so you get an idea of what I'm filming. So the idea, how do you get stuff from a phone into Lightworks? So an answer to that question with pCloud and some of the other providers, and of course other manufacturers of phone, I've installed the app, the pCloud app on my phone, and I've told it to automatic anything that I take with the camera to automatically upload. So as we go to the automatic upload here, and we go into the folder where I've just this second finished shooting the clip that I was working on, you can see there's my desk there. If I play that, you can see that's the video I just took of the fat man there and the bobblehead next to him. And you can see that's my son's toys in the background. And you can see now that it's played the file, it's basically cached it. So I can scrub through that file there quite nicely, and it's ready to bring into my project. But because this is a demo and it's one of my demos, I've got some pre-canned stuff here in my folder here. Before I do that, what I'm going to do is just show the new tree view with libraries and the import panel. And you can see there that tree view works as a tree view. I won't spend too much time on that. Again, these are folders that are pre-canned with pCloud. So I'm just going to switch the view back, and I'm going to go into my Lucas films here. Lucas is my eldest son, and this is content that me and him have been shooting over the last few months together. He's a massive, or I'm probably a bigger fan of Lego and Star Wars. So we've been shooting a comic book, and we've been putting it in, filming it as best we can, and teaching him editing as we do that. And you can see there as I play the content there again, it's just streaming that from pCloud itself. And what I want to do is I can bring those into the project. I can either link to them depending on the internet connection, or I can copy them locally. I'm going to cheat a little bit because this is, as I say, this is one of my demos. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring in a pre-canned XML that I've already been playing with and built. And you can see there as I double click, it's loaded my sequence in there now. And you can see as I scrub through, there's all my clips, there's all my sequence, and it's coming together. It's by no means finished, so please don't be overly critical right now. I'm just going to remove that track there. What I am going to do next is, now that I've got my sequence, we've got our Amazing Music Tracks partnership here. There's been some improvements in this as well to get you to sign in and take you through the journey with these providers a little bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a search for comic book, because that's the content I've shot, and that's the particular clip. So this is browsing their library direct from within the application, and if I click play, you should be able to hear my cheesy piece of music playing that's going to be suitable for my edit. And what I can do with that is I can just bring that in, drag that down to my timeline there. It's going to tell me you need to pay for this. I do indeed, but for this demo, I'm not. Just going to remove that section of the edit there. And you can see we've added in my tracks direct from Amazing Music Tracks. And I'm just going to draw your attention to, there's audio levels on my timeline down here. There is a cross dissolve there and an audio crossfade. And one thing that's really nice over here is a speed, which is a reverse vary speed. So rather than the canopy opening, it's actually closing as we drag through there. So what I want to do with that now is there's one last thing on there, which is these cue markers. So little areas, sections of my sequence that I may want somebody else to review, or just things that I need to pick up on. But what I want to do is I want to share this sequence. I don't want to render the whole thing because we'll all sit here till the end of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark a section of that. I'm going to render that as an H.264. And what I'm going to do, because I've got a Lightworks Pro license, is I'm going to upload that to my pCloud account, to my uploads folder, mark section, and I'm going to click on start. It's giving me the warning that I haven't paid for the amazing music track, which I haven't. So if I click on yes, it will take me through the payment gateway to actually purchase that. I won't do that now because again, it would just take too long. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start that export. I'm going to say, no, okay, it's going to have the watermark, which says amazing music tracks at various points throughout the clip. So it makes it unusable. And you can see my background task started there. It's actually told me I can continue to work while it's doing that. And it's giving me two links. One link to the upload, which is where we sent my video. There you go, it's playing in the background there. But what's really nice about that is that not only if I open up the pCloud provider here, and I go to that, this is their interface, by the way, not ours. I go to the uploads folder where we just uploaded that piece of my sequence. I can share that. So I've got options of how to share that. I can do that, various options here. Again, these are various things you can play with in pCloud, and I'm sure other providers as well. And we can brand it. What I'm very simply going to do is I'm just going to send that via email to my colleague Martin, who's here. He's going to get an email from me, which says, here's the almighty creation that I've been working on. Do you want to have a look at it? I'm sure he does. There he goes. That's probably his email popping up now. And if he opens that and has a little read of it, or a little watch of it even, you'll probably hear him play it in the background. But what's really nice is I get a notification that he's, there you go, a notification that he's just opened it twice and played it twice. You can hear there's the music there as well. So a really nice way of being able to share stuff that you've been working on. But another way of looking at it is actually I could share all of my footage with him and the XML if I did that. So what I'm going to do, just one last thing, is I will create an XML. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell that to go to the upload folder as well. And for the sake of this demo, rather than asking Martin to share his screen, I'm going to play the part of Martin. So he could take all my content that was in the cloud, he could download that, he could bring it into another application. So let me, before I do that, just open up that XML there. So that other application, it might be this one right here. And we drag in the XML, and we're going to say the audio music track is, of course, going to be offline because I didn't buy it. So what would happen if I had bought that is it would have downloaded the file in the background, it would have put it in my material folder, and it would be a clip that I could share around as well, but I didn't buy it. So as we look at the timeline down here, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. And this sort of goes back to what Peter was saying about the pro features and work we've been doing in the back end to improve interchange formats. You can see here that there's the whole sequence that I was working on in Lightworks. There's all my audio levels. There's the cross dissolve that we did and the audio crossfade, and even the reverse vary speed of the canopy closing there as I drag across, and the cue marker information as well. So Martin would have had to, in order to do this in another application, he would have had to download all of my media. He would have had to download my XML. He would have sat there for ages. Because Premiere can't do, other applications can't do what we can do with our cloud integration. And then he would have been able to bring it all in. So I'm hoping that it gives you a good demo. And as my demos go, as some of you have seen them, this is pretty good for a live demo across streaming. So on that note, I will stop demoing, and I'll hand back to Peter.
Hey Matt, that was an awesome demo. As we all know, it's very cool to work as part of a team. So just to make Lightworks new version launch as impactful as possible, we have to hit you with a promo. So when we get the screen shared again, guys, tell me in the chat, is this promo clear or what? But we've teamed up with pCloud, who have an amazingly capable and secure cloud-based storage and collaboration platform. And we found them when we were doing some research, as they're a very sort of media-friendly company and they're growing quickly. And when pCloud suggested this collaboration package, we were like almost speechless. There is small print. The small print is you get 500 gigabytes for a year with all new year subscriptions from today till the end of July. For people with, there's some cost involved in this, so we can't do it for the outrights. We can only give 100 gigabytes for a year with all new outright purchases that happen from now till the end of July. And for all new monthly subscriptions, so long as that subscription is maintained, we'll provide 100 gigabytes too for up to a year. So that's a pretty stunning workflow and a fabulous promo to get you interested and into cloud-based, work from anywhere. You can archive, you can restore, you can collaborate. It's really tremendous workflow stuff. But just before we get to answering any of the rest of the QAs, Mr. Colombo there has one more thing to answer for. Well, actually, it's three. As many of you know, we run a beta program. So all of the things that you saw today are now shipping. We've run our beta tests. It's shipping software. But we run this public beta program, and the next public beta will start in August. And we thought we ought to give you an expectation of what we'll put in for that. And I've seen that some of the questions in the questions tab, while I was scanning them, have referred to a few of the things that we're launching. So the first thing, a long awaited, is we will be supporting open plugins, and we're starting with OpenFX, OFX, which will be public beta in August, shipping in September. We're also adding audio plugin support. We're adding VST and AU plugins with our next release. And the third thing is we'll debut Frame.io integration, and this will be just as seamless a workflow as with our cloud storage providers. So I hope that gives you a taste of what we're up to. We've done a lot of the presenting, and now we can get into the Q&A.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Peter. I'm massively interested in the Frame.io integration. I think those guys do a great job, and it really helps with collaboration. And whilst a lot of us are still stuck at home and not in edit bays, collaboration is so important, especially across platforms, which 21.3 is really helping to achieve. Thanks for all your questions. We've got literally hundreds here, and we also gave people an opportunity to ask questions beforehand. So I'm going to pick some of them out and start going. I think the first one I'm going to go for is from Gary Graham, and this is specifically to you, Peter. He says, "Well, what's happening? You look a bit different than the mid-90s at Tektronix."
I just don't know how to answer that because, of course, that was someone else and in a different lifetime.
Okay, well, that's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but we've got a bunch here. One of the questions which has been asked over 10 times is, will we be offering a Lightworks keyboard or console again?
That, as they say, whenever there's a difficult question that it doesn't have a simple answer, you always get someone saying that's a good question, and it is a good question. We know that there's a demand out there for particularly the Lightworks console. It's one of the things that made Lightworks unique and very special. And it's not so much even the what that controller was. It was that beautiful interaction between the smoothness, the lack of lag and rubber banding between the console and the say the audio playback. And we would very much like to reissue a console as good as the Mark I again, but we would need to update it. There's two reasons. The first reason we need to update it is the molds do not exist anymore, and we would need to make new moldings to manufacture the whole thing again, which is incredibly expensive. And we would have to be sure that we're doing it exactly right. So, should we change it? Should we, there's a lot of debate about Mark 1, Mark 2, what should be added, what should be taken away. And there would be a cost involved. So we need to establish what that cost would be to make it acceptable. The higher the volume, the lower the cost. We would need to put some money into creating molds, and we absolutely wouldn't want to get that wrong. So yes, we do want to make it. There is some thought required before we make that investment to actually start churning those out and going for a distribution, a global distribution for them. So I know that's not the most clear answer, but you've got all of the information that we have, that we're turning over. So that's the state of it.
I think that was a pretty clear answer, actually, Peter. It's something that we need to look into. I'm going to throw you a couple of easy ones now. These have been asked quite a few times as well. Will users be able to run it on Ubuntu and Linux?
I have seen that running through these kind of producty things that Matt probably needs to answer in detail. But the latest version of Ubuntu is supported with the latest version of Lightworks. That's the 2021.3 release, not previous releases.
Is there going to be a free version? I'll take this one. Yes, there is going to be a free version. We're not removing the free version at all. Nothing's really going to change with the free version. Keep on editing free forever. It's not a trial. It's just a free version of Lightworks. I'll also take the next one as well. So will existing forum posts be ported to the new forum? Yes, absolutely. That's why the forum's taking a little bit longer than the website and everything else. So the forum which we currently use, as I mentioned, it's about 15 years old. We can't just migrate it to a new version. There has to be various migrations in between to get it into a state where we can actually do that. We want to make sure that everything, absolutely everything, stays, whilst making it much more lightweight, much newer, much fresher, and much more user friendly. I hope that helps with that.
A lot of the questions that are being asked are best answered on the forum. The forum is a really good resource, and the people who contribute to the forum and the people who moderate on the forum do a really good job, and it's just tremendously useful. The depth of knowledge, the interaction, the responsiveness of people, it's so helpful. Please direct a lot of your questions to the forum. They do get answered by other people on the forum, and also our developers monitor the forum, Matt monitors the forum, our QA monitors the forum, and we interact whenever possible.
Cool. This is one of my favorite ones. Are there plans for VST and audio plugins?
Yes, there are. They're coming in .4, as Peter mentioned. In fact, one thing I will mention that I probably should have mentioned in my demo is that, and I see a few questions coming through, is that although this is a new version, if you've got an outright license for 2020 or version 14 or 2021, it will work with this version. The outright license isn't changing until that year version changes, which will go to 2022. When that changes, then if you've got an outright license, then you will require an upgrade. But for this version, download it. It's free to, and you can. There's no upgrade fee for this version.
Cool. One for you, Matt. This has been asked a few times. Are there many differences between free and pro? Is free version something like a trial or free forever? I think I've answered that bit, but what are the differences between the free and pro?
The biggest thing there is, for not just for .3, is probably the export format. So the free version is limited to 720p export. whereas the Pro version can go up to 4K and interchange formats, various other options. There is, of course, other Pro things like Lightworks console support, the Mackie support, shared projects, hardware I/O. So if you've got a Matrox box or a Blackmagic or AJA box, that will work with a Pro license. So, but specifically to .3, you can only have one cloud provider signed in at any one time, and there's no upload. So for Pro, you get unlimited cloud providers because you may have content on various other platforms, and you can upload. So a couple of new things in there that is different from previous versions.
Cool. I've just noticed the question about pCloud, where I do know the answer. It's been asked what country pCloud store your files in, and they give you the option of being within the European Union or the USA. So if you want your data to be protected by European Union rules, then you'll choose Europe. And if it's more important to be more local to you for sort of edge performance, then you might want to choose the USA.
Cool. One here, which is quite interesting. So do you not have to choose frame rates anymore, Matt?
Not for a project, no. We've got rid of that in 2021.1. So the whole project frame rate now is long dead. So basically, when you bring in your content, it doesn't matter what frame rate it is, it will play at its native rate until you put it into a sequence, and there you will set what output format you want. And if you want to change the frame rate of that sequence, which may be incorrect, you can just do a copy of the sequence and choose a different frame rate from the panel that opens.
Awesome, thank you. Will 3D motion tracking be added to Lightworks in the future?
That'll be part of Open Effects, I would have thought, in .4.
That was quick. I thought that was going to be a much longer answer. Is there any way to automatically create subtitles?
There's no, I assume by that they mean speech to text. There's no current way of doing that at the moment, but we will be looking into AI providers and the functionality that they give with future versions.
Cool. Okay. Let's have a look. Sorry, we're still getting lots come in. So let me just have a quick breeze through some of these. Now I have to pay for this version now. What type of computer do you have for the software? What type of computer do you have for the software to work effectively? Well, I can answer this. It's basically any type of computer. It works on Mac, it works on PCs. We're the only NLE, we're the only video editor to work with all three major operating systems. So I think it's safe to say that it works on just about all computers. Matt, have you seen or heard of any that it doesn't work on?
No, I mean, it really depends for certainly Mac systems, what the minimum version is that it can run, or sorry, the maximum version that it can run. It's just make sure that that is the minimum version that we can run. With any system, it's all about graphics card, the amount of memory you've got. It's, you know, the older the machine, the slower it is likely to be. But I think it really depends on the workflow and the files you plan on using, and you know what's going to stress the system, you know, or the application the most.
Cool, thank you. One for you perhaps, Peter. Will my outright license work with 2021.3, or do I need a new one?
As Matt said earlier, if you have versions dating back, it's a good couple of years, then you just need to download the new version and it will work with your license. There are quite a few questions asking us questions about features and feature requests and capabilities that Lightworks will be getting. But we'll be releasing the information about when those capabilities come about. So today we can talk about the new, easier to get to grips with Lightworks, easier to, share, collaborate, those kind of things, and some of the high-end interchange capabilities that have been refined. We've talked about those. And then the next release, which will be public beta in August, that's pretty clear what those will be. What's happening after that, and there will be, we're running at full steam. We've made huge investments in the development team. We've got great product management. We've got a great vision for the product, but we'll be releasing the information about the other capabilities as we put them in the coming months and indeed years. And it's important to, we want to make features that are extremely powerful, but they're not just chucking features in here, there, everywhere, and they're really difficult to learn, difficult to use. It's very much our aim to make these things accessible, powerful, and with that Lightworks philosophy of, doing things in a way that are much better and easier for customers, not just chucking in more controls and more tabs and more difficult things to learn. We want Lightworks to be accessible, but extremely powerful.
Thanks for that, Peter. I think that is perhaps a good point to end this on. I know that there are still some questions which are open. We will answer you all directly. In fact, what I think I'll do, some of these questions are really, really excellent. So it's probably worth us creating an FAQ out of them. Once the new website is live, then we will upload the video of this. We'll put the FAQs all on there and make sure that all of you guys have access to that before absolutely anybody else. So you can review this, you can go through the FAQs, you can see what it is that we have answered, what we haven't answered, and really then go on and make the most of that 500 gig free offer that we've got running until the end of the month. So thanks a lot for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Matt, for the demo. That went pretty flawlessly. And I don't think we need to worry about safety nets anymore. Perhaps I need one for sharing screens, but hopefully that will soon be forgotten about. Thank you, Peter, for your insight and helping us put this all together, and all the other LWKS hours that we've got working in the back on the questions that have been coming through. And once again, finally, thank you for you guys for joining us today, for seeing what's going on at Lightworks, for still believing in Lightworks, despite the fact that for the last 10 years, everything's been pretty quiet. Like I said a little while ago, that's all about to change. It's now time for Lightworks to get back in the limelight, and today is really the outward start of that journey. That's it from us. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to turn the webinar off. Feel free to go to lwks.com anytime now for the rest of today to see all the new stuff. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. There's so many questions coming in. It's difficult to cover it all.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna leave this open for more questions to come in for another 10 minutes or so. So we can make sure that everyone has a chance to ask anything that they want. But I think now I've wrapped it up, that's enough from us. So thanks a lot, everybody.